Time, go ahead and get started. Perfect. Thank you for letting me know. And first off, yay! I just wanted to share a little bit of celebration for all of you. It has been amazing seeing what has gone together inside of the Google Drive, what you guys have shared. It's been wonderful seeing, some activity inside of the Discord. And from what I've heard from some of you individually, it sounds like you guys were really able to get some tough stuff together. So pat on the back. Congratulations, we made it this week through Hackathon. Inside of the chat, Jim would just like to remind everybody a little housekeeping. We sent out an announcement this morning on Discord and through email that if you haven't done so already, please fill out the TOPkit Hackathon survey. As always, this was our very first time running this, so thank you for bearing with us. And we're always trying to improve. So if you have any suggestions for what we did well, what we can improve upon, please fill out that survey that is inside of the chat, and we will love to hear from you on that. All right, so without any further ado, congratulations to all who made it. And now we're going to work into the presentation portion of the showcase, which is really what this is about. So we gave a couple of parameters, but it's really whatever you guys want to show. You don't have to take the full 10 minutes if you don't want to. Some basic things could just be sharing your group member names, present on what you're able to work on or what you weren't able to. And then also we want to try to bring it back to the TOPkit community and talk about how we can help share or bring your ideas to fruition. So we're all here to help, and we want to work together in this. So about 10 minutes each, but we don't have to stick to that super stringently, but we do have to have enough time for everybody. Just so I get a quick idea of how many groups we have on right now, if you are the leader of your group, could you please just say so in the chat and share if you'll be presenting, just so I know how many, because I think I see 4 right now. Perfect. Yeah, Josh and Dana, awesome.
And Charlotte, I'm a group, but I don't have anything to present, but I want to come and cheer everybody else on.
Okay, awesome. Well, happy to do that, Chris. Yeah, and I'm sorry, I had a busier week than Hackathon would allow, so I wasn't able to continue mine either. Okay, so it looks like Josh and Dana will be presenting for sure, and Karen. Okay, awesome. And if we have anybody else, oh, and Sassy will come in as well. Awesome. Okay, so 4 is what I thought. And if we have more people come in, perfect. And if not, you know what? We did a great job. So I'm so happy to have you guys here. All right, I'm going to stop sharing now. And we can move on to your own presentation. So obviously, whoever would like to go first, you can just go ahead and unmute yourself. If you would like to share screen, you're more than welcome to. And just share a little bit about your project and what you're able to work on.
Okay, so I guess nobody wants to go first, so I'll go first.
Dana, you are very brave.
Yeah, well, brave or naive, one of it. Okay, so let me just, all right, pull this up. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I need to thank Flo. She was a wonderful collaborator and really helped me kind of think about things in a different way and narrow some things down. And I kept saying to her, I hope you're getting out of this like more, as much, or if not more than I'm getting, because I felt like I was picking her brain, but anyway. So just really quickly, I only have a couple slides and I'm going to really talk. There's probably any text on the slides. So I wanted to start creating an advanced pedagogies course, kind of focused on our online faculty who had taken a foundational course in online pedagogies, but were kind of stuck in that between, right? So we didn't have a next transition in professional development for a course like that. So I started this project a little, not really sure where I was going, had some ideas, didn't know how to kind of make all those flow together and how to get that to work. But then having conversations with Flo, we started to kind of vet things out. We talked about the ADDIE model, which most of you, I think, are really familiar with. And of course, I had heard about the ADDIE model before and I had talked about it and gone to presentations about it, but I didn't start to think about how that would interact with what I was trying to create in a meaningful way. So in conversations that Flo and I had, I shared with her that I'm in the College of Nursing and Health Professions at Drexel University, and the majority of the people that would be taking this advanced pedagogies course had that healthcare lens, most of that, the majority of that being nursing. So I started thinking while we were talking, I was talking about the nursing process, right? And I'm like, okay, wait a second. This whole model of creating courses is kind of like the nursing process. So I went out, into Google and we found this really great nursing process graphic that talks about assessment and diagnosis, planning, implementation, and evaluation. And for you guys who are instructional designers and do this a lot, this looks very much like the model that you guys use for when you're creating courses. So yeah, so Flo said, maybe you think about it in that way, and that's how you present the information as we go through the course, right? As people go through the course, so that they're more comfortable. That can be a little daunting, right? That people are like, I'm not really sure about this whole alignment thing, and what does this mean? But just like in the nursing process, we're looking for certain things. So we went out on the web and tried to find a graphic that looks similar to this, because there's a bunch of graphics on the ADDIE model, and what they looked like, they labeled it, but they didn't have like gliding questions, like leading questions into each step of the process. So what I did was, and Flo hasn't seen this yet, I took the colors from this nursing process graphic and I overlaid it in just a simple graphic on the ADDIE process, right? So what it means to analyze, what the questions, the leading questions that people would need to ask themselves as they went through it, or I would need to kind of overlay into the course those different steps in the process, right? So that people could truly understand how that creation comes forward. Maybe again, paralleling that with the nursing process that most of my participants are going to be very, very used to. We also mocked up like a kind of a plan for the course. We wrote a couple overarching course objectives that may or not get tweaked. There's lots of notes on our Google sheet with things and ideas and how to move this process forward. Some key questions for myself, some ideas about survey design in the course when I beta test the course with a specific group that I'm thinking about and seeing what their feedback was. So I think we got a lot done in a very short period of time. And I'm looking forward to hopefully continuing some of this work with Flo as it moves forward and give her some feedback on how it looks. That's it.
That
Thanks.
looks amazing, Dana. Awesome. And I'm so glad you two were able to work together and really share your knowledge and learn from the experience. That was truly amazing. Yes, and agreed. Great job presenting as well, Dana. And thank you for going first. Awesome. Does anybody have any questions for Dana on anything that she just presented? Totally okay. So what we're gonna do, go ahead.
I'm gonna hop in probably at the end of each and add or ask maybe a question or make a comment. Well, and for one, I'm so happy that you all work together, and it's a great combination of minds, I think, on this, and both brought some really unique perspectives. It just worked out to make what you've started to come up with, and maybe we'll continue working in the future. The fact that a relationship was formed, I think, that who knows how long this will last in terms of this project or other ones, or I think that's really nice. But the more hackathon-y question, I guess, that I have is what you came up with, this sort of like overlapping Venn diagram looking thing. Do you all plan, so part of the hackathon is to build something that can be contributed to the community and it can be not crowdsourced, but kind of, right? That more than you and Flo will see it, more than you and Flo can contribute to it. And then the professional development community in general, who wants to either do a similar thing that you do or just hasn't really looked at things in this manner, can see that. So the shareability of whatever you come up with, like where have you landed in terms of that? And you may not have a shareable product today or next week or next month or next year, but have you thought about that as a group? And where do you think you're headed in terms of where this project is going? Is it turning into a graphic that's going to be then shared with the community? Or I'd love to hear anyone's thoughts on that. Flo or Dana?
Dana, if you don't mind, I'll go. So when we were looking at the graphics, we were talking about mental models and how most subject areas or areas of discipline has a mental model. So we were looking at how we could overlay an instructional design approach onto those models for these different people, or to create something like a stepwise approach that they can pull from the model that Dana has created for nursing and overlay it with their discipline. So we talked about it, but we didn't reach to that hackathon area yet, Jim.
No problem. Thank you for sharing. I was just curious, and I look forward to hearing where you guys end up continue going with this. So
Yeah,
Well,
and like
absolutely.
I'm sorry, and like we had shared when we were talking, that the mental models that different professions have are quite different, right? So my mind thinks differently than an engineer's or than a mathematician's, but for all of us, right, the way that we process our problems and our planning, right, can be overlaid one on top of the other. And I think from an instructional design standpoint, that's going to make for better communication if you are working with an instructional designer, so that as the subject matter expert, we can better understand exactly what's going on and perhaps forge some relationships that are more solid than kind of what goes on sometimes, I think, now, where the SME maybe sees this as an other thing, not as a collaborative project, right? We're not just handing stuff to somebody and have them loading in a course. It's not a functionary type of relationship. It should be more collaborative.
no, and I think that's great. And that the model that you all come up with for your use case, right, is a model exactly that, right? For other disciplines and other faculty and instructional designers or whoever they might collaborate with in that space, the bringing the two minds together to and utilizing your base as kind of like a baseline of like, oh, this is what we can do. And I like the opportunity there. So thanks for sharing, and thanks for all your work.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you again so much, Dana, for sharing, and thank you, Flo, for contributing. Fantastic. All right. So do we have a brave participant who would like to go next? Josh, I see
I can
you've.
go.
All
Yeah,
right.
I can go. Should have gone first, then I wouldn't have to follow up. Ours is not nearly that polished. So, just I'll start off with just a really brief intro. We had Jan working with us. I don't think she's on the call, but Jennifer is. So we were trying to get a lit review about and have some best practices around the idea of regular and substantive interaction. Lots of literature out there about faculty-student interaction, student-student, all of those types of things, but a lot less really focused on the idea of regular and substantive interaction in regards to the federal DOE rules and regulations. So we did find some on that idea. We found lots of good background on different types of interaction. And then I kind of started going a little bit different direction with it and looking at the types of interaction that the federal rules count as regular and substantive, and then looking at literature on best practices in those areas. So we don't have everything pulled together in a nice literature review document, but I will share my screen here and show you what we have. Say I will. Are you okay? Are you seeing? You're seeing the. Are you seeing the screen with the Google Drive? Okay, you got it. All right. So I'm not able to see that myself. So this is what we have in the drive. So we have a folder here with PDF versions of all of the articles that we were able to download a version for. Then we have the work here that Jennifer and I had already done, the worksheet for planning, not just whether a course is designed to meet the requirements of regular and substantive interaction, but whether a course is designed to meet the complete definition of a distance learning course or not. So starting with the technology piece of it and the separation between faculty and student piece, how many hours the course is designed to be in each modality, and then whether or not the interaction that's planned meets the definition for both regular and substantive. So they can go through and do all of that. These instructions here are really expand on the ideas a lot, but not as much as we want to eventually in a guidebook format. And so that's there. If you want to take a look at those, if your institution thinks they may want to leverage that, it's there. You can edit those. We do not have an open license on those because I don't know about Jennifer's institution, but mine asserts their intellectual property over my work. So for me to license it has to go through a whole process, but they're usually okay with collegial sharing. So we're going to call this collegial sharing. So it's there if you want it. And then these last three items get down into the work we did this past week. So we're focusing on impact on students and impact on faculty with interaction. We found we can't really separate those, but still we kind of dropped the articles in one of those two buckets. So I'll just open the impact on students one just as an example. So we've got the different articles. We put a full citation if we had one handy. Some of them we don't have the complete APA citation in there, but I think for all of them we've got plenty of information for you to find it if you need it. Some of them it's a link if we had an easily available direct web link, and then just some bullet points coming through for each one. So, I found some very interesting things that would almost seem like they're arguing in contrary to what the regulation says, but I think we can still use that research to show if you're using a good practice that maybe doesn't meet the definition of regular and substantive interaction, keep using that practice. Just know you might have to, for reporting requirements or what have you, focus on some of the other types of interaction that meet the regulation. One example, AI grading is not considered substantive for the purposes of the interaction because only interaction that is conducted by the instructor is considered substantive. But we did find an article studying an organic chemistry class that outcomes were much better if students were given some formative assessment by an AI engine than they were with no formative assessment at all. So in these big organic chemistry classes at a university where the study was done, faculty were not able to offer any formative feedback. So then they found an AI engine that did it, and that improved outcomes. So yeah, that doesn't meet the requirements of the regulation, but it still benefits students. So we think we'll be able to work that in, as a beneficial practice, even though it doesn't meet the terms. And so there were a couple of different things like that in there that we're going to look at. So Jennifer, did you have anything that you found in the articles you looked at that you wanted to add?
No, I think what I was looking at, the way I looked at it, where you were more kind of into the subjects and everything, I looked at it from a little bit of a higher perspective of what does interaction, engagement, feedback do when it's done, in a course, and I was looking at it from that perspective. So I think our next steps are really to kind of hone in on where we want to go with this and how we want to collect it. We are thinking about obviously presenting at TOPkit, and then where do we go beyond that? So that's something that Josh and I are going to think of over the next year, is kind of take this work that Jan helped us do, this kind of foundation that she's helping us look at the research and everything, and build upon that, and try to get faculty and institutions involved at a higher level of how can we take that regulation. And I just had this conversation with the faculty that I'm working with right now around creating standards for our institution. So this work that Josh and I decided to take on this year is definitely going to help me and the work that I'm doing with the faculty here to help monitor and track and do the things that we need to do for RSI. But yeah, I'm excited to see where we go over this next year, and how we can take this regulation, which actually has pretty good intentions, and help use it to enforce some of the best practices we're trying to see in our online courses.
That is very exciting.
And I'm hoping that we can, we've got the holidays coming up and everything's crazy, but we've got about 4 months now before TOPkit, and we did submit an application to have a presentation on this. So I'm hopeful that over the next 4 months, we can pull a lot of this together into something that could be viewed as a guidebook, probably about the length of a book chapter that, 20, 25 pages, to really help designers and faculty look at some of these best practices, because they're in the literature. So many of the practices are, here's an article about discussion forums, here's an article about faculty office hours, one about formative assessment. They're all very specific. So we'd like to kind of, at a high level, tie everything together with some case studies and data from the literature, so that you can kind of get an overview of it all in one place.
That is awesome, Josh. And I just wanted to check in with Amanda, who looks like she might have a question.
Yeah, thank you. This is a hot topic right now. In fact, it was requested that TOPkit put forth a digest on this, which is typically 5 short tips about advising people like us, faculty development professionals, those who kind of coordinate and manage faculty development programs, some tips on how to help their faculty meet the DOE regular and substantive interaction guidelines. So my question to you is, would you be what's your interest level? And as a preliminary, creating some, say, 5 tips for the digest, for the TOPkit digest. Would that be something you'd like to do? You put together all this information, and so this is a great, like, more than a starting point for that, for sure.
Yeah, I'm game. I see Jennifer nodding her head. We worked on it because we need it at our institutions, but we also have been sharing it in the college system, and we're interested in sharing it and getting it out there. And if we take a wrong turn somewhere, we'll take it as an opportunity to learn, get some feedback from the community, and we can improve what we're doing at our institutions.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll be back. Then I will reach out to you, Josh, Jennifer, and Jan about this opportunity. Thank you. It won't be until the spring, but I'll reach out sooner than that. Thank you.
Thanks.
I think the way that I'm looking at this, and Josh and I've had these conversations, is it's kind of work that we both believe in, right? And we both feel it will support the work that we're doing with faculty and quality and all of the things that we know need to go into not just the design and build of the course, but the facilitation of it, and anything that we can do to build those structures and provide additional resources, tips. You know, I'm very much of a hands-on, more practitioner kind of. I want to know those skills, those strategies, whatever it is that I can do to do it better. And that's what really drew me to this, because I think there are some actionable items and there are things that you can do to ensure that you're meeting these regulations that you're probably already doing, but thinking about how we put it into those buckets to
Absolutely,
make sure.
Jennifer. And I think that you guys definitely, I put in the chat, it sounds like you already have at least 5 tips, because it sounds like you've done a lot of work. You know, tackling a literature review in a week is no small task. So it looks like you guys did an amazing
And I
job.
think it still needs some work, but yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely not done. I haven't gotten through all of the different types of interaction that DOE identifies. I've got a few more of those I need to do those keyword searches in the databases and look for. But yeah, we got a good start. Having 3 of us looking at it definitely helped.
That's awesome. So thank you again, Josh and Jennifer. Big kudos and round of applause. You guys did an amazing job, and we're excited to hear what happens next. So yes.
Thank you.
All right. And would anybody like to go next? Oh, Jim, do you have anything to add first? Okay.
No, just I think time is of the essence.
Yeah,
now,
time is
so
of the essence. Agreed. Okay. Sassy, your video's on. Would you like to go next?
Okay.
Okay.
Let me share my screen. But too many.
And if you're having any issue with it, it is possible for me to screen share as well, but obviously we'd like you to. It's easier if you can do it.
Yeah, I'll try my best. Because they are in different browsers. I don't know. Let me check.
And is this the same as the PDF you have shared in your?
Oh, yes, that's the one.
Okay, awesome. So would you like me to share it for you?
Oh, I can.
Or do you want to share it?
Yeah. I don't know. Let me try. You can share it. You can share it. Yeah, okay. But they are in different browsers, so
okay.
That's
not
hard.
a problem. I can go ahead and share it now. It is a PDF document, so
yeah. Actually, it's like it can present to Canva, but yeah, I only save in PDF form.
Here we go.
Okay, so I work with Charlene, and I think she's now in the meeting, and she was great. She listened to me very carefully, and then we come up with the idea to create interactive way to give feedback via Edcastle. So next slide, please. So it's about the problem I noticed from my own teaching experience of the course English classroom management, and the course itself. Next slide, please. It's about teach the student the strategy of various classroom management, and also one of the activity is to have them do the mock teaching. So the mock teaching in this class is about having students work in group, helping each other to create lesson plan, and also some of them acted as students, and one of them take a teacher's role. There will be a group partner to be their own students too during pandemic. They will do virtual classroom, virtual online classroom. Yeah, next slide. All right, so as I mentioned on the first day, that this course is provided via online learning. So the student will have like all the content, and also get the video from when I teach, and I record video, and then they study from there. They're also like synchronous learning too. But one of them that we would like to do is about how we can give the feedback to students when they submit us the video of their teaching practices. This is what I did, like in the photo next to the in the blue box. The feedback was written in the comment box with a long paragraph, and it's very confusing for a student because it's like they have to think about what they have done in the video, and they have to check back in the comment box and find the relevance. So for solving this problem, to the slide, next slide, please. We found a puzzle might be a possible way to help students receive the feedback, and the feedback makes sense to them, because there are 3 main features. The first one is cut, the second one is voiceover, and the third one is question. So actually in our idea, we can use 2 features, which are voiceover and question. Voiceover is like we put our voice into the video. It seems like I am sitting next to the student and, hey, you, this should be this should be that. Or we can, in the feature of question itself, there are things that we can do. We can put on the question, like open-ended question or multiple choice question, or even note. And for giving feedback, I selected to giving notes to the student. But we can use the voice too, but for this presentation, I use note. So the slides. For a puzzle, we can download the video that students submitted to us in the Google Classroom, and we put them in this application, and we watch, and then we stop, pause, and then we add the note. For example, the student start the class by introducing the learning aim. So I make a note that, oh, you are introducing learning aims. That's the good thing to do. Later on, there is a video. I'm trying to send you the link that we make the edit, like the long passage of my feedback to that teaching practices. I just do like, for example, not the whole video because it lasts like over 1 hour. I don't know whether you can access or not, but I share the link in the chat box.
Where did you share the link, Sasi?
The chat box. Is
Oh,
it?
yes, I just got it.
Okay. I'm too slow, sorry. I'll click the link. Hopefully they won't ask me to. Yep. So you can see now can I share screen? Basically, when the student receives the link, they that can turn on the video. You can see that there is like the water drop here underneath. So when the video go to this point, they will see my comment here, and they can continue. Here more in detail of feedback, like you student and teacher, the teacher as the student as the teacher introduce classroom rule, and I give the good practices that I make them aware that this is good, keep doing this, but some suggestions like this. They are going to make the classroom rule by asking all the students to turn on the camera. From my perspective, it should not be mandated. So I put this thing for them to be aware of, and also like some language
Excellent.
use or usage. That rule number 4, it might be makes sense to use this phrase instead, for example.
Excellent.
Yeah,
And just in the
that's
interest of
it.
time,
That's
Sassy,
yeah, that's our project.
that looks amazing. And, being a former language teacher myself, I see how helpful this could be, knowing that it's a video and you're actually inserting timely feedback on everything that they say. Does anybody have anything that they would like to share or questions? And if not, I just want to thank you so much. I think
I'll
that
jump
this,
in. I'll just try to do something quickly because we maybe have like 2 minutes. So Sasi, this Ed puzzle here, is this something you're going to continue to work on? I see that's it's a long video. Or are you using it in other cases? I wasn't quite clear on what did you work on specifically for this one? So this Ed puzzle here, is that the Ed puzzle, right? This video and these tips are things that you would build into the entire video or just part of it? Or how would you typically use this?
I think for a puzzle, I'm gonna use it like to give the feedback to my students, but I'm not a person who can create the app myself. So Charlene and I think we can use the application that is currently provided.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just curious because for others who may see this project, I wasn't sure how easily they could map like, okay, this is what you did. How would I do that? Or, for example, if I wanted to use Edpuzzle, and maybe that's in your Google documentation, but I think that would be just something I was curious about so we could note for people who find your resource and want to do it.
Actually, I would like to develop things like more concrete thing, like the whole online courses, like that. There will be a place for putting the resources for the student, and where we can some function or feature that we can interact with the student, but we pick up only one thing that is very useful and in need. For example, to give feedback on certain assignment. And maybe in the future, I find a way to merge Google Classroom and Edpuzzle in a way to give the feedback to students in many kinds of assignments.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And LTI, making sure that they talk to each other basically
Yeah.
is really huge. And they're always coming up with new LTIs that can actually talk to each other and automatically do the grades. So I hope that happens for you. I will definitely be keeping in touch with you because I know some people here at UCF who have been
Thank
doing
you.
online English programs, and they might be able to offer some insights. So thank you so much, Sassy and Charlene. Excellent
Thank you.
job. Really impressed with what you guys were able to come up with. All right, so our next group, let's see, who do we have next? Feel free to speak up as I'm searching
Charlotte,
for
I
them.
think we have Karen and me and Marilyn and Talisa.
Perfect. All right,
Yeah,
let's take it away, Susie.
Okay, hi everyone. Karen had to go for a few minutes, so I'm just going to get started on it. So we started this with having Karen's idea of having a document or something small that I'm going to share my screen as I'm talking that would focus on UDL and accessibility and raise awareness for faculty. And she based this out of a Start Small campaign that she was aware of that came out of the University of Cincinnati. I don't know if I do that, if you can see it, but we'll see. And so this is, can you see that, anybody?
It is very small, but if we
Oh, I'm
look close enough, we can
sorry.
see it.
Okay. But this is just like a series of bookmarks that gives a little information. So we took this and we made it something, the format a little bigger in terms of getting this idea of using a press book and focusing on really ways for faculty to get started with things like accessibility, and then UDL, and then as their comfort and awareness grows, going into more particulars of UDL and even going into UDI. And so what we did for the week was really a very a very rough outline. And if I show you maybe the outline, it would probably make more sense. If it'll do that. Of what we were thinking about. So we have an introduction and then a section on accessibility, sort of why make your course accessible, and then design considerations, accessibility tools, materials, and resources. And we sort of repeat that outline with going into universal design, going to the resources, and then universal design of instruction. And again, giving some information. So it's, and I can show you, I guess, this is our beginning, really getting this idea of invitational design and what it is. And then going into particulars about accessibility, universal design, and all that. And so it was sort of a whirlwind of introductions, as I'm not very not an expert on Pressbook. And so we sort of dove in without knowing what we were doing, and just started from there. So we do plan on focusing on this more, sort of getting an idea of the format we want, the scale that we want, and etc. So I think that's really it. We, we got some information in an outline, and then we just needed more than a week to to get it all together. So we were glad for the opportunity to start on this. And I think that's about it.
Excellent. Yeah. No, I know that Pressbooks is something that lots of people are starting to use. I am certainly not an expert in it either, but once that is created, I could definitely see how that could be shared with the whole community, and beyond, really, because this is something that everybody needs, and a beautiful module that's easy to share like Pressbooks is a great place to house that information. Does anybody else have any questions or things they'd like to share for Susie?
Thanks, Susie. And just and others who worked on that, as y'all know, as Susie knows, touch base anytime. I can help with getting the Pressbook kind of straightened out for y'all, and if you need it, and integrated and placed, and all that metadata straight so that people can find it and all that stuff. Just hit me up later for it. But great work. I love the beginnings.
Thank you, Jim. I think you can count on that. So, but it was fun to get into it and play with it a little bit.
Very exciting. Now, I know we've had a couple of people come in since the presentation started. Just want to double check. That was the original 4 who said they were going to go. Do we have a 5th group who would like to present and share? I just want to double check that we're not missing anybody. Okay. Well, I'm going to take that silence as complicit no. But again, I just want to give a really huge round of applause for everybody who presented and worked on their projects this week. Even if you didn't have something to present, I know that everybody worked together and was able to get in touch with other members of the TOPkit community. And I hope that whatever projects you decide you decided to pursue this past week, you continue to pursue. So what we're going to look at next is just a little bit of post-event housekeeping. Obviously, we want to encourage all of you to submit a proposal for the TOPkit workshop. That's going to be March 1st through 3rd. It's going to be virtual this year again, and it's going to be on Socio, so virtual in that virtual space. Please feel free to follow that link, which will also be shared in the chat. If you would like to attend or submit a proposal, we would love to hear from you because I think everybody got some really great ideas going through this hackathon. And second, shortly, once I have everybody's names together, you will be receiving a hackathon contributor badge that will be shareable on Badger if you use that. And it can also be shared on social media where you can let everybody know that you participated and contributed to this event. And we will have that ready for you through an email, hopefully by the end of the week. So we'll have all of that there. And again, don't leave us. Let's keep the community going. And we hope that each of you gets in touch with us on how we can share it with the TOPkit community. Content pages, I see a lot of potential content pages happening here, also proposals. And obviously, you know who we are. If you want to get in touch with any of us, be that Amanda or Jim, myself, Susie, we're all part of the TOPkit team, and we will see you soon. So is there any other final words, either Amanda or Jim, that you would like to share? Anything I forgot?
Well,
I think,
oh, go ahead.
I think that you covered
Oh.
everything quite well, Charlotte. I'm excited about the showcase presentations we saw. And we know that behind the scenes, there was a lot more work going on from different contributors. And I think it's great that we'll have a badge for those that will get a badge real soon that we can share on social media about our participation in the hackathon. And I'm really looking forward to TOPkit Workshop 2022. Arise, Ignite. That's our theme. Looking forward to new beginnings, rising from the ashes after COVID, which is still going on, but that we can see a light at the end of the tunnel now, out from this pandemic. And what does that mean for faculty development professionals? So that's the theme of TOPkit Workshop 2022 that we're looking forward to. Go ahead, Jim.
No, I just wanted to say thank you and just, be another one to encourage, continued work on this. And we really appreciate you kind of taking a chance on like this opportunity to get your stuff out there, your ideas out there to share with the community. Some of you used Discord, some of you didn't. For those of you who did, it seemed like a great place for you to continue to like kind of maybe work so that the TOPkit community, there's more on that server than just us. And then maybe more from the community can also just kind of like even see what's going on, and potentially we can even find some sort of more correlations if you're trying to bring more people in who work in our field. And we don't really have we have a TOPkit community on the website. We have a TOPkit community kind of starting on Discord, and we're looking for a home to continue collaborating on stuff. So whether it's through the website, through the Discord, or any other ways, we're open and interested to kind of stay in the loop with what y'all are doing, and then contribute our own stuff too. We have a lot of work happening at UCF and around the States and internationally that we can work together on. So thank you for that and for sharing it. And we look forward to hosting and promoting kind of your work on the website if you so desire us to do that, even without your continued, submitting to proposals here, there, and the other. We will set up a page to highlight all the work done at this hackathon and at future hackathons if they continue to happen, so that you can point someone to there, or you can use it as a resource for others. So thanks.
All right, y'all. Well, it was a pleasure getting to know each of you over this past week, and just don't be a stranger. We will see each other soon. And thank you so much. Great job. All right. And see you later. If you want to stick around and chat, you're more than welcome to, but we are done. Stick a fork in us.